Welcome, all of you. You know who I am because you had to sign up. So I'm Patrick, and I probably know all of you, or know most of you at any rate. If I don't know you, aloha. And this is a webinar and a continuing series of webinars that we're doing prior to the level 1 training that we're doing in Las Vegas, October 21st through the 25th at the resort at Mount Charleston. And so for any of you who know people who want a mainland, other than, certainly we're doing our mainland experience in Scottsdale, the 9-day, the full version of Huna, and that's available at huna.com. And then if you have people or yourself happen to be on here and I'm missing you, interested in a Las Vegas experience, if that's more convenient for you, that's www.lasvegashuna.com, all one word, and it takes you right to the page, talks about what we'll cover and the outline. It's a 5-day version. So 9 days, because we can't go to Kona, Hawaii is closed, and I don't want to say tragic. This is kind of, we're all dealing with this. I'm not going to make it more grand or more melodramatic than it is. Our teachers from Great Britain really can't come. It's not practical. Our teachers and students from Australia really can't come. 14-day quarantine on either end, not practical. I did hear that some teachers and students from Japan are coming. I'm not sure whether that's just their sheer determination or that the rules are different. I'm not keeping track of all that. But 9-day Huna, mid-September. You'd have to check the exact dates. I think 15th, 16th, something like that, for 9 days, Scottsdale. And then Huna with me, smaller group, about 20 people, the resort at Mount Charleston in Las Vegas, October 21st, lasvegashuna.com. And you can send people there, and I appreciate it. We have a good number already registered, and we can use a few more. And so it's a small, very limited venue, very small group. And some of you, I think I'm seeing some people who have done Huna with me. It's a little bit different experience, a little bit more intimate, not quite the big splash and that we have in the big boy Huna or the Kona Huna. Okay, tonight we're going to meditate. And so if you are here for something other than meditation, a buffet or dinner, that's not this webinar. If you're here to hear me talk for an hour about anything, that's not this webinar. There are others. This is the Hiolani Meditation. And I want to talk, I see some students on here who I know have done it, and I want to talk a little bit, not a lot, about the meditation, what meditation is and how it fits into the whole spectrum of Huna teachings. And if you've been here before, you know that there are 18 distinct aspects or skills, things we do in Huna, all the way from hula, the dance, to a type of meditation, and many types of meditation, this is but one, to chanting, to symbology, use symbols, much like Reiki. There's numerology, there's astrology, there's looking at, kilo or divination, looking down the path. There is an energetic release that we've done. We actually have a subscription to that monthly, Ho'oku'u. Some of you are on that, where every month we clear our baggage out through a Huna technique. The most famous and popularized Huna technique is probably Ho'oponopono, which is the ancient art of Hawaiian forgiveness. And we teach that, and all this is available at the various websites that I've talked about. So, but meditation, and I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm licensed, and I've been incorporating more of these esoteric tools into my practice. As a teacher, as a trainer, as a coach, I mentor clinicians and have quite a large clinic in Las Vegas, and these tools are applicable and they're relevant to any of you that are light workers or energy workers or therapists or clinicians. They're also, the guy that I worked with today who's done a lot of training, did it for him, just for him, for his own healing. And so all of these are very, very applicable. And we know statistically, and there's a lot of research, not done just by Bruce Lipton or Deepak Chopra, people you've heard of, but a lot of really peer-reviewed journals on the science and art of meditation and what it does for humans and what it does for the human mind. What we don't talk about in Huna, and I'm going to talk from a more scientific perspective around why, and there's a certain state that we want to get to that is quantifiable, and so the idea And whether you call it trance or hypnosis or meditation or zoned out or in the zone or relaxing or visualizing or meditating, it's really all the same thing. And what we're doing, as many of you know, I can see some of the I know some of you, so I'm just going to speak to the group. We can measure brainwave patterns, and the goal for a meditative state, it's a quantifiable state, is in the alpha theta range of the brainwave patterns. So there's gamma and delta, and there's high beta and low beta, and there's other different things that we use for biofeedback and for, like a neurologist or a neuroscientist would look at brainwave patterns. And what we know is that when the brain is in that state, alpha is that state before sleep, but not quite awake. And you know it when you get it, but it's hard to know from an experiential point of view. So I'm going to ask you after the meditation, how many of you got there by a show of hands? It's not something that you can predict or plan or think. And so this is when we talk about, get your head out of the way, quiet your mind, put more space between the space, all the work that we do at Huna and NLP around quieting, this chattery mind, is the goal is to get us into this alpha state. Ultimately, before sleep, there's a brief period of theta brainwave patterns. And if you've ever been going to sleep and you twitch, you just literally twitch yourself awake. Sometimes I'll just twitch myself awake. Or you sleep with a partner or a dog or an animal, they do it too, where they'll be almost asleep and then they'll twitch. That's called the theta twitch because it signals the transition from the alpha brainwave pattern into the theta brainwave pattern. Now it keeps going and you will go to sleep eventually, but the goal, so if you twitch, this is a tip, it's a meditation tip. If you twitch, you're on your way to sleep. Sleep is not meditation. Sleep is sleep. Sleep is awesome. I love sleep. Sleep is one of my favorite activities. The point is, it's a different experience, so the goal is to keep yourself within that bandwidth of alpha theta. Now, it heads up, the clinic, that I run and own, we have equipment that we, put leads on your head and we can actually measure exactly what brainwave you're in. And biofeedback, by definition, is giving you feedback about how you can control, because there are some brainwave patterns that are associated with stress, with trauma, with depression, with anxiety, with panic disorder, things like that. And so in our clinical work, we use the oscilloscope, we use the packet EEG, electroencephalograph, to measure those brainwave patterns. Those who are able to get into that alpha and theta state and keep it there tend to have much, much less stress and tend to be much more mellow than others. In ancient times, and this is not Hawaiian, this is the meditation usually had two fundamental types. One is called with seed. This is more of a Sanskrit tradition, an Indian tradition, if you will. And the other was without seed. Now, I have a lot of high achieving people in my life who think that they're going to start right away with no seed, no visualization, no recording, no music, and just go right into a Zen, what would be called a Zen meditation, which is where the eyes are actually open, looking down a gaze of 45 degrees and just clear your mind. And for those of you that have tried it, it's not so easy. It is said in another tradition that it's actually impossible to completely clear your mind. And I can offer you multiple theories. Trust me, I've done the research. My goal in my meditation is to create more space between the thoughts and to enjoy that space, not be jittery or worried or afraid of the space. Enjoy the stillness, enjoy the silence, and create more expansiveness in your consciousness. You do that more naturally in an alpha theta state. Now, we and Dr. Matt and I have worked with Navy SEALs and Army Rangers and Green Berets who have highly trained minds. And in some other webinar, I'll tell you a story about a Navy SEAL that I had in the ER who was shot 7 times, and he maintained his state and his body functions through a highly trained mind. Meditation isn't that difficult. It requires diligence, it requires practice, and it's counterintuitive. If I say, go try to meditate, that's incorrect. You don't try. That's the point. It's like those, and I don't know if you've been to a yoga class where some neophyte not even a neophyte, somebody comes in, thinks yoga is a competitive sport, like they're going to stretch farther than the teacher and they're going to do downward dog better than, it's not the right attitude. And so if you come to spirituality, or I'm not going to even say this is necessarily that spiritual, it's a practice. It's non-religious. It can be tied to religion, but for the purposes of our work here tonight, Hiolani is translated. It's two root words in Hawaiian: hio, meaning to lean upon, and lani, meaning the heavens. And if you've been around the Hawaiian culture, as I have for a long time, 40 years or so, you hear lani, Lani, quite a lot. It means of the heavens. And so you're going to hear the word lani quite a lot in Hawaiian, and on street names and princess names and king's names and queen's names and things like that. Hio, you're not going to hear so much. But the idea from an ancient Hawaiian perspective is we want to lean on the energy of the universe. We want to relinquish our control, relinquish our command over our conscious mind. We want to surrender to the lani, or lalani, kalani, if you will, the energy of the heavens. And so the idea is, for this brief period, we're going to, and I don't know how long we'll go. I'm feeling you, and we'll go as long as we need to go. I'll know when we're done. It won't be more than an hour, might be a half hour, might be 40 minutes, I don't know. Bottom line is, the aspect of this particular meditation is the meditation on the light. Now, this is with seed. Sometimes seed is a visualization. If you have listened to any of my tracks, Dr. Matt's tracks on Ho'oponopono, Ho'oku'u, anything at all that is a visualization, a guided, Brian Weiss, if you listen to his relaxation and regression, those are technically meditation with seed. From the brainwave perspective, as long as you get into that bandwidth of alpha theta, you're going to be in a trance. And whether you use someone like Eric Rosen, brilliant hypnotherapist, you use a track, you use an app, the Calm app. I have a brainwave pattern app that I use for airplanes. It's all the same goal. And there may be people, who get fussy or grumpy with me saying, well, but no, visualization's that, and it's visual and it's auditory. It doesn't matter. From the goal of any type of activity is alpha theta, for that learning, to be able to preserve the learnings, to be able to shut the chattery mind down a little bit is the goal. And so tonight, I'm going to put some music on, music that most of you are familiar with. I'm going to put a slide up that is going to describe the Hiolani symbol and what it means. And then we're going to do some breathing, I'll do some chanting, and we're going to meditate for as long as it feels appropriate. What I please humbly request is, please don't be driving. If you're driving and listening to this like a podcast, maybe you can, I don't know the technology, pull over or watch the recording, listen to the recording. This is meant to put you down. This is meant to put you into a trance state. And so I'm going to ask you to attempt to activate the light. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to tell you when we do it. I'll tell you again. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to breathe for a little bit. There'll be some music on. I'll put up a symbol. I'll explain what that symbol is and have you look at it after having been quiet for a few minutes. And then I'll blacken the screen, and you can gently close your eyes again. And I'm going to ask you to attempt to activate the light inside your head. And I will just say that to just notice the light behind your closed eyes. Now, when I did this, I'm very concrete, I'm very literal. I thought I was expecting like a Klieg light or a spotlight, or I don't know what I was expecting. And I didn't get that. And so I think it was with Matt, who routinely laughs at me. And I said, Matt, I'm not seeing any light. He goes, well, what are you seeing? Well, I'm seeing swirls and dark shapes and this and that and the other thing. He goes, anything that's not the dark is the light. So I'll say that to you. Anything that's not the dark is the light. And your idea is that that's what you're focusing on. That's your seed, and everything else doesn't matter. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to demonstrate this very carefully. There is a way to activate the light in your head by gently, with your eyes closed. I'm going to close one eye so I can see you. And you just gently press on the bottom, gently, overachievers. Like just a little bit, and that will, and you can do it on both sides. right? So you can actually stimulate the light if you've tried the other thing that I'm about to tell you and it doesn't work so well. And you can't fail, by the way, perfectionists. You can't fail. I won't let you. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to look up and to the left with your eyes closed. Like, just move your eyes gently. This is not a competition. Bring back to normal. Then I'm going to ask you to look up and to the right gently. And all this eye movement, you know, from NLP will generate energy, and it will generate light. So, and then I'll ask you finally to look between your, up to your third eye. So as though you were looking up to your eyebrows gently, you know, I'm just going to keep saying that because people have seen just scrunch up their face and put themselves in pain. And then allow your eyes to just rest and just notice the light. And then we'll just notice the light and sit like that for however. Now, for you new meditators, I recommend sitting upright. And it's the end of the day. It's 5:45 on the West Coast, later on the East Coast in the Central Time. And so, so you don't fall asleep. But if you do, totally okay. You'll just catch the recording. The goal here, I would love it if at the end of this, you would say something like, wow, I was really relaxed. Wow, I was really out of it, or I was down. I was tranced out. I know I wasn't asleep, but I know I wasn't fully awake either. That's where we're going. Aware of your physical body that's relaxed, aware that you're breathing in a relaxed state. The mind is quiet, the body is still, and all you're aware of is some faint lights in your head. And you'll hear, and each time I chant, I pick the chants very carefully to deepen, once we get into it, to deepen the level. I'm not going to scream them, I'm going to be very soft so as not to startle you with ancient Hawaiian language. Okay, so please make yourself comfortable. Just to make sure, oh, we've got somebody who's in their pajamas already. I love it. I think we're good, we're recording. I am going to share my screen and I'm going to share that. And forgive me for saying this out loud, but I'm pretty new at this. And so go ahead and gently close your eyes and just begin to follow your breath. And I will put the music on, and there's nothing else you need to do right now. You've allotted the time for this. And I know that you're going to be hearing some music. And I do say that we've tested the music and done a sound check. If the music is too loud, go ahead and adjust your own speakers, because there's really nothing else that I can do from my end. But we did notice when we tested it that for some people the music may be a little loud. Just turn it down, turn your speakers down a little bit. You'll still be able to hear my voice and hear the sound of my voice. And so your eyes are gently closed. And so let's take some nice deep breaths, breathing in through the nose, and Hunu. 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 And one more, Hunu. So just go ahead and, staying in this nice relaxed state, take a look at your screen. I've put up a slide. This is the Hiolani symbol, and this is the symbol of creation as far as the ancient Hawaiians were concerned. You'll notice at the base there's a triangle. You'll notice that there's a purple dot in the middle of a circle. This dot was considered to be source, or the center of the universe, and consciousness, God consciousness, whatever you apply it. The Hawaiians had two words. The common name was Keave, and there was a sacred word that I'm not going to say, that is not spoken on recordings. But this is that small purple dot is the center of source. Around it, you're going to see a circle, and that was called the Po. And the Po, in modern terms, is called the quantum, the nothingness. the emptiness, and so it's the space between the space. And even the ancient Hawaiians had a sense of an awareness that there was a core energy, if you will, and then around it was a lot of space. And so this is represented there. You see a line to the top of the triangle. At the top of the triangle, the apex of the triangle is considered the kane position. Kane is among the first dichotomies out of the po. So when life is created or anything is created, it starts as a formless energy, if you will. At the top of the triangle, in this kane position, is at the edge of the universe, and so what we would call the edge of the quantum. And then dichotomies go down on either side and form a triangle, because it is thought that the Hawaiians believed that creation initially came with polar opposites, night and day, male, female. The first dichotomy is male, female, according to the Hawaiians. And there are other dichotomies, night and day, up and down, things like that. And so this was thought to be the theory of creation. And so what I'd like you to do is to close your eyes once again and just staying in this nice relaxed state. Begin to follow the sound of my voice, deepening, relaxing completely, and just following your breath that is nice and relaxed. There's nothing else going on. There's nothing else that needs your attention. This is your opportunity to connect with the heavens. And so now, with your eyes remaining closed, move your eyeballs gently up and to the left and pause for just a moment and return them down to the midline. All the while breathing and relaxing. And now move your eyeballs up and to the right, connecting with that spot up there. And just removing them back down, moving them back down to the midline. Relaxing completely, just letting it all go. You may notice some periods or places or items that are discomforting in your body, and just put some loving energy there. Let those go if you have any aches or pains, and get situated. And now take both of your eyeballs and look up into the center as though you're looking between your eyebrows, very gently. And pause. And bring your eyes down to relaxed midline position. And just begin to notice the light. Remember that anything that is not the dark is the light. Remember that there's nothing you need to think about or do, except just listen. I'll only be speaking for a few more moments. We'll do a chant, and I'll keep track of the time. And remember, if you'd like to stimulate the production of more light, all you need to do is gently take your first finger and your middle finger and gently press on your lower lid with your eyes remaining closed to stimulate the production of light. You can do this at any time, but remember, the goal is not only to see the light, but to get into that beautiful alpha rhythm, that beautiful theta rhythm. Excellent. No na kia kua kana hele hele. Ila ia kiki o hua hua kawa koko. O na kino malui kalani. Malue hue holu mai ana o kane kona kahu. O mako noa. Wahikea. Lalo lalo ke awili o ka lema. Ilele I ka munui maha ka ina. Moala a ine ka puale ua. Ohu ohu ukana hele ina pu ulo ula ula. Ula ka hunu. Ola ka le hule ua ka hunu. E ula mawe. Aum makua, aum makuna, aum makua maika puna, aum makua maikeo, aum makua maika paulunana, aum makua maika paulalo, elemai, elemai. Omai kamanaka ike keoleno. Yalele kapa. Yalele noa. Mama noa. Humai Kimaluna Mai Ona Mia Huna Noya Ona Mele Ehomai, 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 Kankimalunamaye, Onamia, Onanoya, Onamele, Ehomai, 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 Kankimalunamaye, Onamia, Onanoya, Onamele, Ehomai, Ehomai, Ehomai. And we'll conclude our meditation by taking 4 deep breaths, breathing in through the nose. Hanu. 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 And one more. Hanu. Okay, go ahead, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Take your time. I'll give you a minute. Okay, so that was about 20 minutes of meditation time, um, which is really an optimal amount of time. More is not necessarily better, and I've found in my own practice that if I do more than about 20 minutes, max twice a day, I can get pretty spacey. It's like being in Hakalo all the time. Hakalo is a wonderful thing, and if you're too out there, and for those of you who don't know what Hakalo, it's a waking meditation of the Kahuna, which is where you spread out your peripheral vision. And so too, seated or silent meditation, even with a seed, 20 minutes twice a day would be optimal. And I understand maybe some of you are more advanced and you do more than that. I have found that to be kind of the sweet spot. But anytime you can, get some space between the space is really great. But I'm curious. I promised you that I would ask you, and I've got the chat. The chat room is open. I feel like there should be alcohol or some, not on kombu, but some beverages in the chat room, the chat lounge. And I have the Q&A box open as well. So I'm just curious, and I'd like to hear who's ever willing, just to a little bit about what your experience was. Do you feel, now to go over it again, if you were in the zone, the beta or the alpha theta state, you were not aware maybe that I chanted 3 chants or 4 chants. You maybe heard it or felt the energy. You may not have been aware that every 3 or 4 minutes I breathed, I exhaled, just to kind of deepen it. It was also flowing, for those of you Huna students, I was flowing Keave, the element Keave, right? So for those of you that work with others, it's good. Although tempting, I was with you. I didn't go and, have a snack while you were down. I was right here with you, which for those of you that lead and guide others, important to set the intention and keep it on your students. This is not an opportunity I wasn't scrolling Instagram, or as tempting as that may have been, I was not. And I have to watch it because I can go very deep as well. So when you're the facilitator, I would close my eyes 3-4 minutes. About every 5 minutes, I wanted to kind of infuse a deepening, technique. So I did that. So I'm curious. I've got the chat room open. Any feedback about your experience? Do you feel like you didn't notice the passage of time? Was 20 minutes like a blink of an eye, or did it seem like a long time? Give me some feedback on how you're doing and how you're feeling. And so I have someone who went deep, almost knocked out, and that's what you want. You want to be almost knocked out. And this is hard. It's hard to measure that. You kind of know you're asleep. So sometimes, and I work with people in session, and I'll do, trance work, and they do actually fall asleep. They start to snore. Snoring is a clue. Snoring is a clue that you're asleep. So if your snoring wakes you up, you were asleep. If your theta twitch wakes you up, you were descending into sleep. Okay. Somebody says they got some cool downloads, then went down, which is cool. I'm not sure what you mean by downloads. Was it information? Was it Yeah, so I'd love to hear more about what you mean by downloads. Another person says it was perfect, able to relax, release the stress I was feeling. So you feel better having done this, and that's the goal. And this is like working out. It's not a one-shot deal. I felt like 5 minutes. It felt like 5 minutes, and I heard 3 chants and 4 breaths. Awesome. I know I did like at least 3 and maybe a few more breaths, but good job. I felt relaxed and at peace. My leg twitched, and then my whole body twitched. Awesome. And downloads ideas for projects and things that popped up. So more conscious mind things, ideas, creativity. Remember that also meditation stimulates creativity. So if you're a writer or an artist or a musician or somebody who creates content, to do meditation regularly will help the juices, the creative juices. It's brilliant. Felt a lot of energy come into the room. Good. Well, that was my intention. My intention, and you can do this for those of you that work with others virtually, and I'm just learning this, to you set the intention, and it comes. So I just tapped my microphone. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too much. So I'm flowing Keave, the element of source. I was chanting to try to bring in some energy. I was with you, not going and having a snack. So that's awesome. All right. Okay. Feeling relaxed, love the music, and I felt it was guiding me to visualize healing energies. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Meditation is meant to be healing. It doesn't presume an illness or a pathology, but it's meant to be, we just know it's good for the body, it's good for the mind, it's good for all the bodies. And we have other techniques in Huna to specifically release anger, those kinds of things, and to forgive. Meditation is just a good all-purpose way to just connect with yourself and to quiet things down. And it doesn't require any special equipment. It doesn't require any special training. Very few people that I know can do a meditation successfully without seed. So please don't feel like that's the goal, that you have to sit on top of the mountaintop and clear your mind and keep your eyes open. I mean, those are monks and people, Rinpoches that do a lot of meditation for decades. And so a seed's fine. Just choose your seed. And it's not like one seed is better than another seed. Hiolani is a particular on the light. I am curious if any of you saw the light and started playing with the light. In the beginning, from time to time, some different thoughts came in, but only for a short time. Awesome. At the end, I was out. Or I was standing in the ocean water, which was floating around my feet. I love that. And as you've heard me say, I'll have what that person's having. I like that. That's great. Any experience you have, meditation should not be agitating. It's meant to be calming and peaceful and flowing. And it gets better with practice. And like yoga, I've studied yoga my whole life, can't really do it anymore because of injuries, but, perpetually a student of yoga. And I hear yogis and people who've advanced training in yoga say that they're an advanced student of yoga. Huna, I'm an advanced student of Huna, pretty advanced. Well, old, I've been around it for a while, but so much to learn. I was talking to Arjul before this, and we were talking about Kumu Mat and just some things about the Huna that's coming up in a week or so. And, I always say that, oh, you think I'm great, meet my Kumu. I have a Kumu. I study and I'm so respectful and so grateful for the Kumu that I have that I can go to. And when Auntie Bernie died a year or so ago, it was hard for him because there was nobody left. There was no elder left. I know he's younger than me. I'm better looking, and you can tell him that I said that. But I still have somebody I can go to. I can go to Kumu Tua about chants and about lineage. I can go to Kumu Mat. And so, and for those who have lost the elders, the kupuna, you're kind of out there leading, and I know in your respective fields, many of you are out there leading. And so this is very supportive of that. I felt a lot of energy in my crown. Good. I was falling asleep and then I started coughing. Okay. So sorry. Maybe there's a fifth chakra hairball that needs to release. The energy in the crown is, remember, the seventh chakra is your connection to source. So, if you felt energy in your crown, you were connecting directly to source. The cough could have been, puppy hair, or it could have been some metaphysical fifth chakra release. We don't know, and it doesn't matter. You don't need to know, but the idea is that we just, with repetition. And I've had periods in my life when I've been absolutely strict, twice a day. I was originally trained in transcendental meditation in the 80s. Some of you have heard of that. That is with seed. It's with a mantra. That's a secret private mantra you get. Then I'm thinking a while later, at least a decade, 15, 20 years, 10 years, I don't know. I studied with Deepak Chopra for quite a long time, and he trained me in what's called primordial sound meditation, which is his sort of extrapolation of a mantra-based meditation with seed, and did that for a while until Huna, 15 years ago or so, and Hiolani. And it's not that one meditation, you may be really attracted to this. This may have moved you. There is a recording. You can listen to it and just repeat it as you wish. Others may call to you, mix and match. I know that having done so many other things prior to Huna is kind of my thing now. So I choose largely a Huna meditation. And I don't use a recording. I don't use recordings for the practices anymore. I did for many years. So no harm, no foul. The bottom line is that you create a space for yourself. And if I were to recommend a practice, and I know many of you are recovering or practicing perfectionists. I get it. I come from that school. And so I'm going to say between 4 and 7 days a week, for between 4 and 20 minutes. So if you've got 4 minutes or 5 minutes, you may have to trick, and again, so I'm not talking about exercise now, physical exercise. I'm not talking about making your smoothie. I'm talking about a sitting practice, be that chanting, meditation, study, journaling, recitation of chants, of any, not even necessarily Huna. I realize there's probably people here that are not Huna students. You can do a lot in 5 minutes. 5 minutes is an eternity, especially if you're sitting there by yourself, quiet. Try it. Go ahead. I dare you. 5 minutes is an eternity, and you can do a lot in 5 minutes. So don't be so quick to say, I don't have time. I just can't possibly fit another thing into my schedule. Well, you can. I've done it. I'm a busy guy. So I encourage you to give it a try. So the daily practice, which can include a spiritual practice, you can add exercise to it, and I get pushback sometimes. I work with a lot of people who are quite high achieving, and they're on the treadmill trying to do their meditation. They're knitting a sweater with their left foot. They're, juggling balls with their right foot. They're journaling. They're doing 16 things at once. That's not meditative. And I'm sorry, and you can disagree with me, but you don't have a voice. I can't hear you. So I'm just going to say it. Get some time to shut up and be quiet and be still. If it's 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Meditation is not sleep. There is you hear about the runner's high. And I used to be a runner. I used to run a lot. And I would get into that zone of, that euphoria, those, they call them endorphins. We know that they're different things now, neurotransmitters, but whatever, that's also good. You may get in the zone when you do your work. You may have a job where you're doing a repetitive thing, you're anything, data entry or something, and you get into that zone where you don't notice the passage of time. Also very good. Video games, the reason why they're so captivating for kids is there's nothing quite like it. It's hand-eye coordination, it's immediate feedback, and you just lose track of time. And meditation for meditation's sake is a really, really good practice. 5 minutes to 20 minutes, once or twice a day, 4 to 7 days a week, depending on how motivated. I dare you, you will notice a difference in your reactivity, your baggage, your relationships, your ability to focus. I had a couple of graduate students in my office today that said they're just overwhelmed. It's like the second week of the semester or something, and they're just new internship, new classes, graduate school, master's programs. And they said they lay down at their bed at night and they can't stop because they're on this, they just can't sleep because they're so agitated from all the overwhelm of information. Meditation, and I sent them, team, the 7-minute anxiety release and the 7-minute Ho'oponopono, free of charge at drpatrickscott.com. Thank you. And I sent it to my students and said, here, try this. They don't know. I don't teach Huna at Heads Up. I'm not like talking about Huna every day, all day in my clinic. And so I dared them. We'll see if they come back with anything. So I want to end class like we always end class. by saying Malamapono together. So Malamapono, I'm hearing you. We all stand in righteousness. Aloha ke akua, I heard you. We have love. We lead with love. Love is our shield. Aloha ke kahi ke kahi, which is love one another, love each other. And that's not just who you know. Love everyone. And finally, because we as a hui will connect on some level, on some platform, sometime, we say a hui ho. Class dismissed. Love you all.